All right, we're live.
Welcome, everybody, to the Moffett on the Mic show. We are live, as always, on the A1 Sports Network, courtesy of the one and only Chris Klim, and we are joined by a very special guest. He's been in Impact Wrestling. He's been in NWA. He's been in AEW. He's also been in WWE, and this is his second appearance on our show. We know him pretty well from the Creative Pro Wrestling shows that take place in Limbrook, and we really appreciate him taking the time. We are, of course, talking about the one and only VSK. What's going on, man?
How are you guys doing? Thank you for having me back. I guess the first time went well.
Yeah. We loved it so
much. First time was fantastic.
First of all, I had a chance to talk with you during the last Creative Pro show during the intermission. And again, to all the listeners, I just wanted to say congratulations on the new addition to the family.
Oh, thank you very much.
I hope everything's going okay. I hope you're at least getting some sleep.
Nope.
So I was a little late myself because I have a 10-year-old and a soon-to-be 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I was doing homework. So
that's quite all right. If I run away at any point, it's because there's a baby crying.
I totally get it. But again, congratulations. I hope everything's going well. I hope
the
baby's healthy, and it's beautiful from the pictures I've seen on your Instagram and everything.
Thank you. Yeah, so far so good. Just a new headache that I don't know how to explain.
So, I'll just jump into that first question because, your career has really kind of taken off over the last year or so between Impact, between NWA. I know you're on AEW Dark now with Sanjay Dutt's new stable, I think. And
Daivari.
Oh, Daivari. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
And, you've done you've always done a lot of matches with WWE, on Raw and everything. So being that it is, and now with a new addition to your family, has it been difficult to balance the travel schedule that comes with being a wrestler since you and your wife recently welcomed a new addition to your family?
It's been a new challenge for sure. I'm very lucky that my wife has the ability to work from home. And then we also have a lot of family around. So we have taken advantage of every one of those, assets that we've needed to so far. Literally the baby was born March 1st, and I had a show the following weekend, March 6th and 7th. I had shows.
Wow.
So I had to, not had to, but that was like our testing ground. I had one show that was down the street in Eastern Long Island, and then that was a quick in and out, like 3-4 hours, and then the next day I had a show in Massachusetts, which was like a longer day of 3 or 4 hour drive there, be at the show for a couple hours, and 3 or 4 hour drive home. And that was kind of the testing of the waters. Now 6 months in, we're using all of the assets that we have, like I said, but we're finding our groove and kind of figuring out how to make it all work. Thank goodness.
Now, with like you said, the new addition to your family again, Craig, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, with with the different
you're going in.
How do you feel what's your daughter like? Oh, Daddy's a professor, and she's shooting a bad guy.
You're going in and out. Clem, you got to fix your computer, my man.
All I heard of that was, how do you feel?
You ever see the scene in Wayne's World when he goes to the coffee shop and he pretends that the mic is broken and the guy figures it out?
I didn't figure that out, so we're gonna have to do it again.
All right, I'll tell you what. I'll jump on and Clem, you just try to figure out, try to fix your fix your stuff or whatever. We were talking at the last show, and my first time I saw you wrestle for Creative Pro or just in general was the match that you had with Sean Spears.
Yes.
And, you had told me that was one of your favorite matches you had done and everything. But, seeing how Creative Pro has evolved probably over the last year or so, you're seeing so many graduates or just, guys like, we always single out MJF and, Chris Statlander. And, at the last AEW show I went to at UBS Arena, you were in a tag match with Eric James.
Yep.
And then Bryce Donovan was on the show as well. Bobby Orlando's been in AEW doing some dark matches and stuff. How great has it been to watch Creative Pro really kind of take people with no wrestling background or just have the desire to be wrestlers and just watching those guys grow over years and years, and now all of a sudden seeing them, seeing kind of them be rewarded by getting on shows like, AEW Dark, or even just a dark match on Raw or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we hit on it a little bit on our last interview, but the how I kind of became like a coach and like a father figure in wrestling to some people at Creative Pro, to then see them, have their first matches, have their first big shows, get on shows that they thought they'd never get on, or have their own moments, has been extremely cool. And the fact that AEW or Impact or NWA or even WWE is an option for these people is such a awesome thing to see them get that level. For me, when I first started, my wrestling school had no connections to anything. It was like, I started in 2007, so right around the time of the first iPhone. There wasn't YouTube and social media like there is now.
Yeah.
So, I had no idea how to even make that bridge to the next level. These guys are very lucky to be coming into a school where there are so many bridges, where Pat Buck is working for AEW, where Brian is an Impact, and then the list goes on and on with AEW people, but we also have connections with WWE people and so on and so forth. So they're coming into a place that bridge is already existing, and all you have to do is work hard. And to see all of these people work as hard as I have seen them work, it's very cool to like, it's rewarding to me to see my friends get rewarded. It's a thrill to me to see them get to check off these things on their list of, wrestling accomplishments, and doing so in the first 3, 4, 5, 6 years of their career, when I didn't get those breaks until 10 years in. I'm just like so happy for them that they don't have to do that grind that just kind of wears you down and wears you out. If they can get to these places and these accomplishments even sooner than I did, then good for them. Hopefully that helps them elongate their career even longer than mine.
This Saturday night, Creative Pro returns to Melville at the All Sports. And wait, there he is. He's back.
There we go. I'm back.
With an even better view of that shirt. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. You know what? That's really what I was going to say. First, I got to rep the merch.
Yeah, same.
All right. So what did I interrupt? I'm sorry.
Well, no, we were just talking about how I was asking him about just like how cool it's been to watch guys like not only just MJF and Chris Statlander, but other guys like Bryce Donovan, Eric James, and all Bobby Orlando, guys that are appearing on AEW Dark, doing dark matches for Raw and stuff. Like, how cool is it to watch Creative Pro guys just going through and just getting those shots in the business? So,
okay.
But we're taking a break now because we were waiting for you, and you came on at the perfect time. So
perfect time. So to even go off of the success of the other Creative Pro guys, talk about MJF. He's been obviously making a lot of fucking buzz in the AEW world and everything like that.
Oh, why? What's going on with him? I haven't been keeping up.
What's not going on with him?
I don't know. I'll have to call.
But anyway, I look at him and I'm seeing like this guy's he's the best in the business. Do you think he really, like, in my opinion, he is? Do you have the same thing? Do you feel the same way about him?
I think he is for sure someone who stands out as a star. There's a lot of wrestlers, and then there's some people who reach that next level where they're a household name, or not quite. He's not Hulk Hogan yet. He's not the person who's synonymous with wrestling for a generation, but I feel like he could be. There's Hogan, there's Austin, there's Rock. I wouldn't be surprised if 10, 15 years from now we're saying Hogan, Rock, Austin, MJF. I think he has that ability to be a star, not just in professional wrestling, but break through. And maybe he'll get into acting, maybe he'll get into movies. But regardless, I think that he is good enough that he can be the face of AEW. I think he can be the face of all of professional wrestling. I think when you talk to your out-of-touch grandmother and tell her you like professional wrestling, maybe she'll say one day, "Oh, the thing MJF does." I think he has that kind of ability inside of him.
Because I was talking about it with one of my friends recently, and I'm like watching everything he does, and everything he does is it's must-see television. And like you mentioned, The Rock, Austin, Hogan, those were must-see guys back in the day. And now we have where there's kind of a gap that's kind of filling. I mean, Roman Reigns is doing a good job of it on WWE.
For
I
sure.
mean, if you want to say a number 2 in the business right now, I would say it is MJF, really.
I mean, the way you talk about, there were all these must-see moments with Austin. Austin's run was a short run, but he was in a big machine that was the Kleenex, the mainstay. Like, you think wrestling, you think WWE. Max is having this unbelievable impact on wrestling right now, and he's only wrestling 6 years, and he's in a company that's only been around 2.5, 3 years. So I think the scale can only get bigger for him, and as AEW gets more attention and more eyes on them, and he gets more attention and more eyes on him, I think more people are going to see what you and I are both saying.
So this Saturday night, Creative Pro again is back in Melville at All Sports, and you are actually going to be, I guess, an honorary member of Larger Than Life.
I think it's the other way around.
Okay.
I don't know how long you've been following my career, but Eric James and I were a tag team back in 2011 through like 2015 called Adrenaline Express. Right. We were tag champions. We had a year-long feud with the Young Bucks where we defeated them for a year straight. And then Eric got hurt and took 4 years off. So now that Eric is back, we have kind of been dipping our toe with Adrenaline Express a little bit, seeing if anybody cares to see it again. So I think Dante is dipping his toes in the Adrenaline Express pool.
So we have a little wrinkle to the storyline, I guess.
Yeah.
For a Saturday night. So you'll be in a 6-man tag with James and Drago against Bully Ray, Dr. Cool, and Phil Cardigan. Is this a continuation of the feud you kind of had with Bully Ray in TNA? I'm sorry, in NWA. Excuse me.
It seems that for the last couple of months, every time I turn around, Bully Ray is getting into my business for some reason.
Yeah.
I know he is very unhappy with Matt Cardona right now for whatever reason. ECW original Matt Cardona. But I hope it's not a continuation, because I would be very happy to be one and done with Bully Ray. We had a match that hasn't aired yet, but I'm happy with that being if we have one match there and then one match in Cap and we never have to cross paths again, I'd be fine with that. Bully hits hard, and I don't want to get hit hard, and I don't want to go through tables. So I think a win for me on Saturday is if I don't go through a table.
Now you mentioned being part of with Matt Cardona and everything like that, and you have the NWA faction that you guys are. It's you, Myers, Chelsea, Zach, Cardona, and Mike Knox.
Yes.
No, and so how can you think that could fit into somewhere with that storyline with Bully Ray and him just getting all of his maybe ECW boys over to NWA?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Right now, that stable, the Cardona family, Matt, Chelsea, Brian, Knox, myself, we're having a good time being together in NWA. So I don't know if it matters so much what we're doing together. When the 5 of us are together, we find a way to make it count, whether it be on screen or off screen. We're having fun there.
Now, to a continuation with that question, now with a guy like Myers, and even going back to, like you said, with Eric James, do you find it easier that you've known these guys for so long when you get in the ring with them, especially as tag partners? Find it easier to be in the match with them?
I think so. It's different with Eric and with Brian, because Brian he has more experience than me. He's been wrestling on a bigger stage for longer than me. So when I get in the ring with him, yes, we're friends, and yes, like, I know that we can have a good match and have a good time together, but also I have my learning cap on, because I want to see how he's going to approach this match, how he's going to approach different parts of the match, and I want to take as much as I can from that to bring to my next match or whatever. Brian is one of the smartest people in professional wrestling, whether people realize it or not, and I think he has a lot more like going on up there than I think anybody else even realizes. And he doesn't get to show it off as much as maybe some other people, but he's one of the best I've ever been in the ring with. And then for like Eric James, he's my best friend. We were best men at each other's weddings. Like we know each other 15 years, thick as thieves. And then, it's kind of same answer where we're going to be on the same page. We're not going to have to talk about what each other wants to do. We kind of know this is the direction we're going with our team. This is where we want the match to go. So it's very easy in that, aspect. But then he's got a different style than I do. He has maybe he's a little more flashy than I am. So it's, again, like we're kind of rubbing off of each other, but in a different way than, say, Brian and I would be.
I was just curious, because you were with Impact, you're with NWA. How do they do tapings for Impact? Like, how many shows do they tape in like one shot of tapings at whatever location? And also the same with NWA.
It's different now than when I first started with Impact, I believe, because when I first started with Impact, it was still very much no fans and empty arena, like kind of studio stuff because of all the COVID restrictions. Yeah. When it started opening back up, we would do 2 or sometimes 3 tapings in a day. So you could end up having 2 or 3 matches in a day, and it would be they usually try and do like a pay-per-view on a weekend. Say like it's pay-per-view on Saturday, then taping Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or something along those lines. And that's pretty much how NWA does it as well. This last loop I just did with NWA, we were in St. Louis for 2 days, for 2 nights of pay-per-view. And then we hopped on a bus over to Nashville and then did 3 days of tapings that were split up into, I think we taped NWA through like October. They break it up a lot, but it's one long session as to where Impact is 2 sessions in the day.
Now to go back to, Create a Pro, a few months back, we had Bryce Donovan on, and it was right after you amazing heel turn on him after the match. You said all those good things. And then he happened to break his lung after that. So yes. And he said you were going to get, like, he was coming after you. So do you have any words to say to Bryce Donovan on that?
I think that's dead. He can keep his belt for now. That's fine. I'm happy for him. I got bigger fish to fry.
So we're not going to see a VSK Bryce Donovan match for the CAP Championship.
I would 1,000,000% love to have that happen somewhere down the line. I don't think that's on either of our plates right now. The Creative Pro has been a weird world for me. I thought I had kind of told the fans off and, put them in their place. And then the next show I came out and people were high-fiving me and cheering me on. So I think they've forgiven me, and so I'm going to forgive them. So I'm in a weird limbo, I think, in Creative Pro right now.
So how does it feel for Saturday, though? Because technically, James and Drago are heels, and you're kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I'm going to beat up Phil Cardigan and Dr. Cool for sure. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Like I said, I don't want to get hit by Bully anymore, so I'll try and avoid him. I'll do cool things and have people cheer me, but whenever Eric and I are together, we're kind of assholes. We're kind of dicks. So maybe some people won't like that. I don't know. We'll see.
Recently, the last Creative Pro show, you versed, indie, I guess you could say legend, Joey Janela, bad boy. How was it facing him?
So Joey and I have known each other for probably close to 15 years, if not 15 years. And that was actually the first time we ever got in the ring together. Yeah, okay. So that was we both were talking about it beforehand. How has this match never happened before? But I'm glad that it happened when it did, because obviously Joey has had a lot of success and, has gotten his name out there to a whole nother level. Mm-hmm. And, right now I'm doing a lot of cool things. So I think we got to meet somewhere around both of our peaks in both performance, in-ring styles, and then buzz with ourselves. Mm-hmm. So I think the match, I enjoyed it a lot. I would love to do it again sometime. Joey is a very unique wrestler who does a lot of unique stuff and dangerous stuff and scary stuff. But I think it helped me bring out a version of VSK that's a little more dangerous and a little more carefree, I guess, in the ring with safety. So I enjoyed that match a lot, and I would be happy to do it again.
So, sidebar from wrestling for a minute. We know you're a big Islanders fan.
Yes.
And I was curious how surprised you were when the team fired Barry Trotz.
Yeah, so that was like everything.
How you're looking for like a comparison?
Because like it's just
the world. Like
it's just heartbreaking, you know. Like all of their success in the last whatever it is 4 years, I think, came from Trotz being the coach. Last year, I would like to chalk up to an anomaly and just some bad moves that they made. But I don't think by any means they were, going to be out of contention come this year. But now with Trotz gone and with no moves being made in the offseason, I'm a little weary about how this season's going to go. But it is interesting to see that after Trotz leaves the Islanders, no team picks him up and he takes off a year.
Yeah.
So maybe there's more to the story than we know. Maybe it's more of a mutual thing than anybody really knows. But if it's just like Lou Lamoriello saying, oh, you know what, we had one bad year, even though we just had the best 3 years in 27 years, then, it's unfortunately a wait and see type thing. But I don't want to have to wait and see because it's too many years of bad news.
So, like you said, as me and Craig, both Islanders fans, what do you think the Islanders need to do to turn it around? Because like you said, last year was an anomaly. The previous 2 years, we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost. So what do you think they need to do to get over that ledge?
I think it seemed like it was a lot of a mindset thing last year. And I'm by no means am I like a hockey expert. I'm a diehard Islanders fan, but like I'm not going to go on a hockey podcast and amaze anybody with my knowledge. I think one of the things that the Islanders kind of made their identity when they first got Trotz was they're these underdogs that no one's taking seriously. And then they make it past the first round. And it's like, holy crap. Okay, maybe they're not the underdogs anymore, but they're not going to go any further than that. And then the next 2 years, they get to the semis. Even the comparison from the first time to the semis to the second time in the semis, very different seasons, very different like attitude towards the end of the season where they almost were not throwing games, but kind of throwing games to rest themselves for the playoffs. That's not an underdog mentality. That's not, that's not a let's show them how hungry we are type thing. Not to say it didn't work out for them. They still made it to the semis. But I feel like that kind of carried over to the next year of that attitude of we're a shoo-in for the next round for the playoffs. And then when they hit all of these speed bumps, they didn't have that same hungry mentality that they had for the previous 3 years. That's how it looked to me. And then also Chara skates in sand, and we need people to actually shoot the puck. But other than those things, I'm hopeful that they can, get out of that funk from last year. I would have loved to see them pick up, a few younger defense pair or like someone who has a few more shots on goal or some sort of playmaker, because they have the ingredients for a great team, but they haven't been able to mix up the perfect recipe of it.
I hope you don't mind, but I've just created a new segment on the show, and it's the Moffett on the Mic Kids Reporter.
Oh, yeah, please.
If it's okay with you, I'd like to introduce my tag team partner for the Creative Pro shows. You got to meet her at the last show. It's my daughter, yes. Riley. Come on in.
Hi, Riley.
Hi.
So Riley wanted to ask you a couple of questions. She was very excited when she found out you were going to be on the show tonight.
All right. What do you got? Are these hard-hitting questions that I'm not going to be able to answer on air?
I think I have just one question.
Okay.
It'll be very easy. So why did you want to start wrestling?
Oh, that's an easy one. My parents used to go to wrestling shows when I was a baby. They used to have wrestling magazines in the house. One of my first ever toys was a Hulk Hogan wrestling figure. So wrestling has just always been around. And then when I started to understand it more, I started getting so emotionally invested in the wrestlers and the characters, and I just fell in love with all of wrestling. And then when Shawn Michaels was wrestling long before you were a thought in anybody's heads. At WrestleMania 12, they did this whole story about how he was this child who loved wrestling his whole life, and now he was in WWF and he was fighting for the WWF title. And I identified with that so much, and I said, that's going to be my life path. I'm going to have that same story where I watched wrestling my whole life, and now I'm going to be a wrestler, and then I'm going to be a champion. Oh my God, Chris just passed out. Okay.
Yeah, that was great. Klim almost went unconscious.
I know that was a really good question.
Well, how about you, Riley? Why do you like wrestling? What got you into it?
So
Me.
I like yes him.
Okay.
Well, also I like seeing I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it's very fun to watch like other people have fun.
So, how long have you been watching?
So maybe like a year. now.
Okay. Do you think this is something you'd want to try and do when you get older?
Maybe.
Ooh. How about Craig? What do you think?
This is news to me.
I know a pretty good wrestling school if you're ever interested.
Yeah, you go to their shows all the
No.
time. Listen, I'm always a believer of, if you want to do it, you just got to put in the work, and you just have, I have no problem with it whatsoever. This is what she really wants to do. If this is her dream, this is her.
Yeah.
This is it. I mean,
I think that's the attitude you got to have. My parents were like, they weren't against it, but they weren't exactly like, oh yeah, go for it. So it took a couple years of convincing them, like, no, this is something I'm really going to take serious and, make my life's pursuit.
Mhm.
To the point now, it's just my job, and it's not even anything that we even talk about. They're just like, how was your last trip? How was work? It's like, no, okay, we've come a long way.
It's like good dinner conversation, I guess, at this point. Like,
Yeah.
Because
if I do something cool, I know to tell them, but otherwise they're just like, it's like talking about work, But they always do say, when I was a kid, I would sit in my basement and play with my wrestling figures, and my sister would be in the basement and she'd play school. My sister's a school teacher, and I'm a professional wrestler. So we both pretty much knew what we wanted to do and just kept going. Will you be at the show Saturday, Riley?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be in the front row, man. Like,
okay, good.
So.
Please don't cheer for Bully Ray. He's a mean man. He's gonna try and put me through a table. I'm not gonna let him.
I think she became a VSK fan now because you graciously took the time to talk to her. She's been wanting to ask you questions
no problem.
all day. So she was really excited to talk to you today.
Nice to talk to you too.
All right. So we'll maybe talk to him on Saturday during like the meet and greet or something. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Goodbye.
I like that segment, Craig. Could we do that more often? Can we have guests?
Yeah, I think we might. I just have to, prep her a little bit more. But
oh, actually, Chris, was your first question about that same thing? Would I let my daughter wrestle?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, that's basically what I was getting.
You figured that out?
I heard daughter, and I heard what would you think? So
okay, good.
I figured it wasn't going to be like, what do you think if she wants to play hockey?
Yeah, that's like you just like deciphered a major code on this show because I would have what the hell are you
it took some time. So my current answer to that is I say all the time, like, Chris Statlander is my wrestling daughter, and to literally I shriek while watching her matches, live or taped, even taped when I know that she's fine. It's so crazy. I knew her before she got into wrestling. I knew her from her first day of wrestling. So I've watched her grow for 6 years, and I'm very emotionally invested in what she's got going on. So anytime I see her wrestling, I'm like, oh, I don't want to look. Like I'm scared to death because I know of all the things that can happen in wrestling, both in and out of the ring.
Yeah.
But on the same token, like I was just saying, if she told me one day, hey, I want to be a wrestler, I would say, okay, but let's, I have learned a lot of what to do and what not to do. So let's use my experience as as much of a guideline as we can. I always say my first ever memory with my dad is him walking me around in the living room of our house and WWF Superstars was on in the background while he's giving me a bottle. And I don't know how I remember this because I shouldn't be able to remember this, but when my daughter was born, I was like, I don't want to just put her in front of the television and have wrestling on because I don't want to like force that this is a thing in her life. If she's interested, she'll be interested. But also there's just so many times where I'm just watching wrestling all day. So of course the wrestling is on the TV and I'm just sitting here with her like, and I was like, oh no. So
I mean, I don't know
we'll
how
see.
it started. I don't know how it started for me, like my daughter, because like I try to watch. I don't watch Raw live because I always try to watch it taped. Most of the stuff I watch is taped just because I just don't have the time to watch it live. But a lot of times I'll watch it on a Saturday morning when the kids are sleeping and everything, and then that's my time to finally like sit down and maybe watch a little wrestling. And of course, as soon as I turn it on, she wakes up. So, and she just started sitting with me ever since. And I took her to Raw like a few back in November when they were at UBS Arena. That was actually a lot of fun. She really enjoyed it. And then all of a sudden, when I got into the Creative Pro shows, and I remember the very first Creative Pro show I went to, I met Bear Bronson. And we were just talking. He was a super awesome guy, like, super nice guy. And he was just talking about how, these shows are family shows, so you should definitely bring your daughter next time. I'm telling you, she'll have a lot of fun. And I took his advice and I brought her, and she literally had the time of her life.
That's awesome.
Ever since then, it's like the day after your last show, she asked me when the next one was. And that's when like she's like in it for the long haul kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's been really enjoyable. Like she loves meeting the wrestlers. Like she loves like getting to talk to them for a few minutes, and everything. And it was, it's just been very cool. And it's been a lot of fun just kind of sharing that with her.
I was just gonna say it's a shared interest now, which makes it even more enjoyable because you get to enjoy it and then you get to see her enjoyment in it.
It's like WWE pay-per-view is on, she wants to watch it. It's like, even if it's just for a few minutes, doesn't matter whether it's 5 minutes or half an hour.
For sure.
She likes to sit and watch it, and she has her favorites, and she has, and again with Creative Pro, like she really gets into the matches a lot. I would say the only thing is like she wears earplugs because when you guys hit the mat in Limbrook, it's loud. Like
it's very loud. That's a small building.
It is super loud. So and then we started putting the pink earmuffs on her just to kind of muffle it a little bit more because it was but I honestly, like in a way, I'm very grateful to you guys because that's kind of really been like a bonding thing for me and her.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I'm hoping, like I have a younger daughter who just turned 6, and I'm hoping, I could go down that same road with her to like get her into wrestling. Not quite yet. But, I guess in many ways I kind of owe it to you guys because your shows are part of the reason why like we get to hang out and enjoy, just like some father-daughter time.
That's really cool. I believe I understand that so much more now than I ever have in my life, obviously. So it's very cool to hear.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, Craig. Yeah, well, the one thing that's when we've had, like guys who like had newborn kids on the show before, the one thing you always said, and this is gonna stick to me when I have kids, like parenting is easy, makes it easy when your kids like the same things you do, So I'm definitely gonna carry that for it until I have kids. Out in the world.
Yeah, like if you can blend it in, it does make it easier because it makes it more fun, and if you don't like going to Disney on Ice, you're going to hate going with your kid. But if you find that niche, and the thing was, I've been watching wrestling since I was a kid. My dad hated taking me to like house shows at Nassau Coliseum. He used to hate it. He used to buy I used to make him buy like tickets like ringside because like he used to just hate it. He was miserable, but I was like, yeah. And my dad's looking like, you're an idiot. But over time it's really developed, and she got to experience Raw like she had never really gone to Raw. And I think the first time I ever took her was, so I took her to a house show at Nassau Coliseum like a few years ago, and I thought it was easier because there was the TV time breaks. I thought she might get a little bit restless, kind of thing. She might just be bored. So having match after match after match really, really helped, and it like made the transition so much easier, and she wound up having a really good time.
Good.
Again, having Creative Pro, right over here. I'm in Limbrook, so it's right down the street from where I live.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
So, it's just been a lot of fun to watch. And again, like I told you before, like it's been really incredible watching you grow over the years from the Creative Pro shows and everything. Like your career has really taken off, and it's been fun for me to watch that. So
Thank you.
I just want to say congratulations, and
Thank you.
all the best, and everything in the future and all that stuff.
I was just so I was thinking about this the other day. I think it was Smart Mark said something along these lines, and I related it back to me. When I won the Creative Pro title, it was at our school in Hicksville.
Mhm.
I think it was 150 people, and I think if we even had that many people there, we were probably violating the fire code. And then fast forward, when I lost the Creative Pro title, it was at Lynbrook, which was, I think we get about 300 or 350, depending on what the seating arrangement is.
Is that really how much that? Because you wouldn't know it just from the seats, but just the way the seats are structured for the event.
I think it's usually we put 200 on sale or 250 on sale, and then when they all go, we'll put a couple more up, maybe like the day or two before, and then it's like the friends and family comp seats. So right. I think it is about 300 in the building. Mm-hmm. And then when Bryce Donovan won at Melville, it was in front of 600 people. Right. So the growth of Creative Pro has been awesome to see and awesome to be a part of. And that doesn't get lost on me, how we started out as this, we're just a school, that the point of it was to help advance people's careers and teach them something. And to now going back to the original question of the episode, we have seen so many people grow and this whole thing grow where it's not just a school anymore. It's a destination where people are messaging us and asking hey, how do I get on the Creative Pro shows? So it's been a very cool thing to see for the individuals as well as the whole company, because I believe in all the people who are representing the Creative Pro banner. And I also believe in the Creative Pro banner. And I know I wouldn't be in any of the places I am now if it wasn't for Creative Pro.
No, and that's like I said, my first show, unfortunately, was when you lost the title. And I know, I'm sorry. But, Craig has always been saying, Chris, you got to go to the shows, man. And I'm like, so I finally, me and my buddy, we got the tickets, we went to the show, and we fell in love with it from that point on. We haven't missed, we didn't go to the last one because I was working, but we haven't missed a show since that point. And it's again, I fell in love with the wrestling, you guys as wrestlers, the personalities. It was just amazing. This is why you watch wrestling, for this kind of stuff, and you fall in love with it, and that's the joy of wrestling.
Again, that's really cool to hear. I think we are not trying to be like a mini WWE or a mini AEW, but I think we have the talent that we kind of became that. You know what I mean? Where you can, instead of weekly, monthly, see these characters that you invest yourself in and can relate to, and you care about what they're doing and what the matches are. It's not just a super indie thrown together card. Here's a bunch of names that you've heard of before having these matches. Because we started as a smaller promotion and it's a lot of the same fans over and over, everybody can kind of sink their teeth into who we are. And when you care who the wrestlers are, it makes the matches mean so much more.
Klim loves Creative Pro so much now that he gave his credit card to Max Caster when Caster was going.
Oh my God.
That sounds like a really bad idea.
Well, you know how he goes.
Could have told him that, but I was sitting too far away.
The first time he did it, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna put a $20 bill into the hat or whatever," and I thought, I'm like, "Oh, he'll say something funny about that."
No,
I didn't get a rise at it, so I was like, "Oh, great! I'm out fucking $20." You know what? Next time I'm gonna put my credit card in. This will be real funny. Put my credit card in, and everyone's like, "What the fuck are you putting your credit card in there for? What's the matter with you?"
Judging by VSK's
part of the show.
Judging by VSK's facial expression, he's like, "You're not getting that credit card back."
Oh no, you'll never see it again. Nobody can ever out-rib Max. He's constantly on. So you're out of luck.
Like I said, I put in the $20 the first time, and my friend's like, "Oh, you're probably gonna get that back." I was like, "You think you're gonna get that back?" I was like, "I hope so." Didn't get it back, obviously. Then I put my credit card in the next time because I was like, "Oh, this will be funny. This will be part of the show." And I got it back, obviously, but it was just my friends were like, "What the fuck's the matter with you? Why'd you put your credit card in there?"
I hope he bought some stuff quick.
For us, we've developed what we felt was a pretty good relationship with Creative Pro as well, because we've had multiple wrestlers on the show besides you. We've had Eric James on the show. We've had Bryce Donovan. We've had Jack Tomlinson's been on the show a couple of times. So we've actually been really appreciative of the Creative Pro roster, taking the time to support us and just be on our show, because the stories that you guys tell us are awesome. Like, you guys really do give us like some really cool stuff to, talk about. And, for that, we're very appreciative of, you guys coming on the show.
Indie pro wrestling is like very punk rock, where you just kind of have to, you got to do it yourself, and you got to, anything that's going to happen is going to be because you made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that, there's a million wrestling podcasts and there's a million wrestlers. So if we can help each other out and help shine a light on your podcast, or you guys shine a light on me, it's only going to help. And the busier we can all stay and the more we can have our names out there, it's only going to help everybody.
So now, before we let you go, the last time we had you on, I see the ode to HBK in the background there. Have you gotten any more like wrestling, like memorabilia, figurines, anything like that recently? Any new stuff?
You can't see it. Yeah, I got that New Generation Arena, which is, I don't know if you're familiar at all, but Mattel did a thing last year where you remember the big neon lights entranceway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did a back the New Gen Arena type thing. If they got enough people to buy in, they would go into production with it. So that just came out. I got it a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and it's a giant like scale entranceway with a giant scale ring. So it's taking up a giant portion of my basement now because it's the coolest looking thing in my collection. So I have all my New Generation guys set up in the ring coming out of the entranceway. It's like I'm a giant child. I got the package while I was still in NWA. So right. I was like itching to get home so I could build this ring and build this entranceway and set up all my guys. It's insane. But my favorite thing now in my basement is I have a table that's just my wrestling friends, and it's everybody that I either help train or am very close friends with. So there's a personalized Matt figure over there, a personalized Brian figure, a personalized Chris Statlander figure, and then like little micro brawlers of all my friends, and then framed pictures of all of us outside of the wrestling bubble. Just fun friendships that I'm very close with these people, and I'm very close with them in and outside of wrestling. And I think it's important with all, like, my whole basement is wrestling. But I love that table because it's a reminder of all of the relationships that wrestling has brought me, and all of these cool moments that I wouldn't get to have if I, didn't get into wrestling like I have for the last 15 years.
Now, when your daughter gets old enough, is one of her first toys going to be a wrestling ring?
So her,
because I don't think she would be allowed into what looks like a really awesome museum in your basement. So
I know one of the first things that we got on the registry was a gate, and I was like, where's this gate gonna go? Like, this doesn't fit on the stairs, it's too big. And my wife was like, no, this is the gate to block off your portion of the basement so that she can't get to all the figures. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea, we definitely need that.
You might need to get something higher because kids learn to climb it, and they'll find a way to get over, like my daughter did.
I have a little time for that.
I remember the first time I put the gate up, I really thought I had her, and all she did was she kicked it, and the whole thing just fell. And I'm like, oh.
All right, I'll have to give it a kick test. But up in her room, the first toy that she has up in her room is a VSK micro brawler, and either later this month or the beginning of next month, a VSK wrestling buddy is going to be coming out, so she'll have that as well. So she'll have she's going to be one of those weird people who have toys of her dad, and no one's going to understand what that means and be like, yeah, sure, your dad has a toy, and then she really will have a toy of her dad.
Well, listen, we really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us. Thank you for coming on. It's always awesome talking to you. I loved talking to you at the Creative Pro Show the last time.
Yeah.
And, I'll definitely come by and say hello on Saturday with Riley. And, so we're definitely looking forward to it. And again, best of luck on everything. And it's been really awesome watching you grow, over the last couple of years. And, you're definitely on your way. And,
thank you.
Klim and I love seeing it. And, we're definitely wishing nothing but the best and success. And again, congratulations on the new addition to your family, man.
Thank you very much. The arena, you mean, right? The new gen arena.
Yeah,
It's a big part of the family now. I appreciate that. No, thank you guys. It's always nice talking to you guys, and I look forward to seeing you Saturday. Thank you. Like I said, thank you for helping us all get our names out.
Mm-hmm. One more thing, because I'm going to this place and I've never been there before.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really a horror show to park there?
I don't know. I got there, I get there hours beforehand, so It wasn't for me. But also, I imagine, if it's 400 or 500 people again, it's gonna be bad no matter what.
Yeah, so I'll be out there like 2:00 in the afternoon. Just to
you might have to do that. So I might see you as I pull in.
I'm gonna have to do a 3-hour tailgate before we get started with my daughter.
There you go.
No, I was gonna say you're gonna pull in. You're gonna be like, is that Craig camping out over there?
Yeah. Like it's an Islander game.
All right, listen, man. Thank you so much. I can't wait for the show Saturday night. I'm really psyched, and
thank you guys.
Look for us in the front row as always. All right.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right, take care, man. Thank you again for coming on the show, and we definitely want to have you on again in the future.
Sounds good. Thank you guys.
All right, take care. All right. That is the one and only VSK again, Creative Pro this Saturday night in Melville, New York at All Sports. He's going to be teaming up with Eric James and Dante Drago to take on Bully Ray, Phil Cardigan, and Dr. Cool. So again, thanks again for coming on. Take care. And awesome interview as always, man.
Always.
Any chance we get to have the Creative Pro guys on, it's always awesome. So Klim, I definitely tip my hat to you to all the credit for taking care of business. And again, if you haven't gone, I think there's tickets still left for Saturday night. So definitely check it out. The card's going to be awesome, man. They just announced
I'm upset. I'm not going to be there this Saturday. I have a fire department function I have to go to. So I'm kind of upset I'm not going to be able to go this Saturday. But, if I wasn't going to, if I didn't have this fire department, I'm there 100%.
Give me 1 second. I'll run down the matches really quickly. So they just announced the Mayhem Metal match. The Mayhem Metal will be on the line on Saturday night. Evil Kip will take on Jay George, Liam Davis, and TJ Crawford. There's going to be a talent search battle royal, which I think will be pretty cool for Johnny Clash. So whoever wins the battle royal will be his tag team partner later in the night for a match. They didn't say who they're going to be fighting, so that'll be a pretty decent surprise. Fatal four-way for the Cap TV Championship: Alex Reynolds, Mike Anthony, Aaron Rourke, and Desmond Cole. For the tag team titles, Mark Sterling, and Slade will take on the Even Stevens. Triple threat women's match: Davian will take on Alicia Edwards and Ava Everett. As we said before, the six-man tag, Eric James, VSK, and Dante Drago will take on Bully Ray, Phil Cardigan, and Dr. Cool. We also have Brian Myers in a dog collar match against Vargas. Bryce Donovan will defend the Cap Championship against Alec Price. Impact Wrestling's Ace Austin will be in the house. He'll be taking on Max Caster, which could be a really good match. And tag team match now they're called the Iron Savages. They were called Bear Country. And they are taking on the Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards. So
okay.
It's going to be a great card. And if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, get them. And it's going to be a 2-hour meet and greet at 6:00 with Bully Ray. VSK will be there. Bryce Donovan. They're all going to be there. So definitely check it out. And more information, just go to the Creative Pro website, creativeprowrestling.com. So let's segue to yesterday in the NFL. We'll do the Giants really quickly, and then we'll get into the Jets. The Giants come from behind. They get a great win over the Tennessee Titans last night, winning 21-20. Love the aggressiveness in the fourth quarter by the Giants. Saquon Barkley had a monster game for them on the ground. I don't mean to dampen the Giant fan mood, but you have a serious Daniel Jones problem. And unfortunately, listen, I don't wish ill will on anybody to fail and all that stuff. I don't want to see these guys' career end at 23 where they're just going backup to backup to backup jobs and all that stuff. But the fact is that I was watching the game in a bar last night because I was at the Pearl Jam concert, and Daniel Jones still has trouble holding onto the football, and through an incredibly brutal red zone interception in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was, he was locked on that receiver, and the guy just ran right in. Now, that being said, though, the Titans couldn't do much of anything, and then the Giants came right back and they just rode Saquon Barkley. And I love Daboll being aggressive and going for the 2 instead of kicking the extra point and going overtime. And listen, now this wasn't a dominant victory by the Giants, so I'm not going to blow this win out of proportion here. I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, the Giants are on their way. They're going to be amazing this year and everything," because I think even every realistic Giants fan knows that is not the case.
Mm-hmm.
However, this is a good victory just to stand on because you simply didn't know what your team was going to be to start the season.
Exactly.
My only concern with Saquon Barkley was never about his talent. We always knew it was there. It was whether he could stay healthy. Because when he misses time, he misses significant time. And that's a problem. Now, look, maybe Daboll unlocked something in Saquon. The jury is still out. We're only in week 1. However, this is a great win for the Giants just from the fact of you simply didn't know what team you had. And however, listen, it wasn't for its fair share of nail biting because Randy Bullock missed a 47-yard field goal to pretty much seal the victory for the Giants. But Giant fans should be very happy with the fact that their team fought, their defense played hard, and you see, as Jet fans, we try to see how the team plays hard for Robert Saleh.
Mm-hmm.
We don't necessarily see it yet. You see how they played hard for Brian Daboll.
Yeah.
And that's a huge plus for this team because this team is not very good. Roster-wise, they're not very good. Okay? I don't think the Titans are a very good team to begin with. I think losing Corey Davis 1 year and then trading A.J. Brown the year after, I think personally really decimated your receiving core.
Yeah, plus Tannehill's another year older.
Tannehill's another year older. You're going to run Derrick Henry into the ground. Robert Woods is coming off a torn ACL. Your offensive weapons took a major hit. And Tannehill is not the most mobile quarterback like he used to be, which I believe is the reason why they drafted Malik Willis. So that's not to belittle the Giants' victory. The Titans are still a better team than the Giants. And more impressive about the victory is the Giants won on the road.
Yeah.
Okay. So I tip my hat to the Giants. It was a great win for them. You know, they build on it. Their home opener Sunday against Carolina. I have a feeling that stadium is going to be rocking on Sunday because now the Giant fan is excited. You know, they're excited. They're 1-0. Again, it's just 1-0, but it's still the Giants haven't started 1-0, I think, in like 5 years from what I remember.
No, so, yeah, I saw a picture the other day. It was like this is the first time the Giants have had a winning record since the infamous boat trip in 2015.
But you know what, though, man? That's something to build on.
Yeah.
And
it absolutely
for the Giant fan, they're happy. They should be happy because they went into a stadium, and more importantly, they came from behind. They were down by 7. They get the touchdown. They get the 2-point conversion. The defense almost collapsed because they almost gave up the game because they, two bad holding penalties on the last drive, and then the long completion. But at the end of the day, the Titans missed a field goal, and the Giants win the game. So the Giants 1-0 going into Sunday's game against the Carolina Panthers.
No, you're absolutely right. And like you said, this is something to build on if you're the Giants. Like, yeah, you don't. The Titans aren't what they used to be in the past couple of years. The Titans are still a decent team. They still have Derrick Henry. They still have a solid defense. So the fact that you guys were able to beat the Titans on the road, especially, it proves a lot. Look, you saw Saquon looks great. You know what? Like you said, we know Saquon's talent is there. Just has to stay healthy. He looked fantastic on week 1. Sterling Shepard looked good. The defense looked pretty decent. Like you mentioned, the problem really is Daniel Jones. Holding onto the ball, keep being consistent. And this is the same problem you saw with Sam Darnold when he was with the Jets. You never saw him really take those next steps. Now you're seeing that with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, he had a good rookie year, but now he never built off that. He never took those next steps, kind of like what Sam Darnold was with the Jets. Like he's still making the same mistakes. What is it, year 4 for him in the NFL year 4 with the Giants. You can't have those mistakes, especially if you're the 6th overall pick when you were drafted. You can't be having these mistakes. And I really think if he continues down this road rest of the season, Giants.
We knew this season for the Giants was more of just an evaluation year. The Giants still have some bad contracts on the team right now. They still are. They're not a very good team, regardless of what any Giant fan will tell you after yesterday's game, because the unrealistic Giant fans already printed playoff tickets.
Oh yeah.
Some of the other realistic ones they're going to be like, look, it's a good win, but we're a long way from anything. Now, compound that with the fact that Dak Prescott's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. The Cowboys now take a major hit. And, already the Jimmy G rumblings to Dallas are starting. So the Giants can easily build on it. And they can, just keep taking it little by little. But the one thing you liked about the game yesterday was, and it's another part that I forgot, after Daniel Jones threw that interception, Daboll ripped him on the sideline. Like, I don't know if you saw when they came back from the break, Daboll ripped him. Like,
that's good.
Not like screaming at the guy, but he basically was like telling him, like, you can't make that throw. Like, you got to knock that shit out. And Jones responded. And that's what you want to see out of Daniel Jones. When he fucks up, you want to see him respond. Okay? I want my coach in my quarterback's face when he throws a shitty interception. Okay? And that's exactly what Daboll did. And the important thing about Daniel Jones is he could have crawled into a ball and he could have just done the same thing over and over again, but he didn't. Instead, what he did was he responded and he led them right down the field and scored a touchdown. So, again, it was a great win for the Giants. I still think they're a very flawed team. I don't think they're going to, I don't think they're a playoff team this year by any stretch. But you see the difference when a team is playing hard for their coach. Mm-hmm. That's the number one thing you want to see in a rookie season. You want to see these guys playing their asses off for you. You saw it with Houston yesterday with Lovie Smith. The Texans almost had that game won. Mm-hmm. And the Colts came back and it ultimately ended in a tie. The Lions came back and they came up short against Philadelphia. That's what you want to see from a bad team. So you can imagine where my segue is going to this, which is with the Jets, who, again, they lose 24-9. I have always tried to be as optimistic of a Jets fan as I can possibly be. I really have. I've shook it off and said, you know what, they're a young team. They're still kind of growing. They're still inexperienced. Salah's a first-year head coach. Okay? And we took it as that. Here's my problem now moving forward. I'm beginning in the early stages to have my doubts about Robert Saleh. And I really don't want that to be the case because I'm sick and tired of replacing coaches every couple of years. I'm sick of it. I've had enough. I'm tired of replacing coaches every couple of years. Okay? And then meanwhile, other teams hire new coaches and they're right off the bat winning games. Mike McDaniel won yesterday, even though the Dolphins weren't as good as everybody made them out to be. I don't know if that was more the Dolphins being good or the Patriots just being terrible, right? But you see that fight in those teams. You see that fight in a Dan Campbell-led team. You see that fight with Lovie Smith, who everybody hated that hire. But you see that fight in them. See that fight with Brian Daboll. I don't see that with Robert Saleh. And the thing is, he was brought in here to be a motivator. Mm-hmm. Remember what we all heard, right? And I love the Saleh hiring, so I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I disagreed with it, I hated it, or whatever. The fact is, he was brought here to be a motivator. He was brought here for his passion. He was brought here for his development. And the guy that we hired from the San Francisco 49ers is not the guy that I see here. And I'm sorry, that's troublesome to me. The fact is, you had multiple weeks to prepare for the Ravens. This is not the fucking Kansas City Chiefs with Pat Mahomes. Lamar Jackson's a good quarterback, but they were down J.K. Dobbins. They were down Gus Edwards. They were down Ronnie Stanley. They have no good receivers on the team. And they were unprepared again offensively. Mike LaFleur, with all the weapons that he had, I'm talking Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Breece Hall, Michael Carter, Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzama, Braxton Berrios. And you couldn't put together a game plan to beat the Baltimore Ravens. And that's that's bothering me about the Jets. And I am sick and tired of it as a Jet fan. It sucks the enjoyment out of me to watch them play, because the defense did what they could, but then the defense fell apart in the second half. There's no sense of urgency. After the game, a troubling comment came from Flacco when the team looked like they just quit. He didn't say that bluntly, but he basically said the way they were going up to the line was just very meh. That can't happen. That can't happen. The Jets have done nothing. They don't have any credit to do that. They don't have a reputation that they can let that slide once in a while. As a fan, I'm sick and tired of this team being embarrassed on television. I'm sick and tired of them being the jokes on all these shows. I want to see this team competitive. Mm-hmm. And maybe for the first quarter they were. All right? Defense played well. Defense got some big stops. Sauce played well. DJ Reed played well. They got after the quarterback a little bit. Jermaine Johnson got part of a sack and everything. But the offense just freaking drives me crazy, because I just want to see them succeed. And I'm sick and tired of watching a team go out there on the field and embarrass themselves.
No, you're absolutely right. And, my takeaways from the game were that Flacco, this offense was not made for Flacco. I'm going to defend LaFleur a little bit, because there were times you saw Flacco get hurried and he just stood in the pocket. Meanwhile, if you have Zach Wilson in there, Zach Wilson's mobile. He can move. He can run out of the pocket and extend the play. That's why you saw Flacco get hit so many times. It was just bad. It wasn't that this offense is not made for Flacco. We think we saw that clear as day in that game. Breece Hall still has to pick it up a little bit. He didn't look like a confident running back. Meanwhile, Michael Carter looked pretty good. He looked like he's.
And I expect that. Okay, now I expect them to kind of have a kind of committee approach to it right now.
Right. No, agreed.
Which is fine. But a prime example of what I'm talking about, and this is where I've always said the Jets get a little too cute. Okay? You signed two good tight ends, in my opinion. Ty Conklin and CJ Uzama. Okay? Now, I'm very happy that Lawrence Cager made the team. He deserved to make the team, and he was active for the game yesterday. But he's not ready to step into a role where he should be getting 5 or 6 plays his direction. And, of course, he got called for fucking holding. He fumbled the ball. You have 2 good tight ends right there in Uzama and Conklin. Those are the guys that you should be focused on. If Cager needs to go into the game, if they're hurt, that's one thing. I didn't understand why LaFleur is giving Cager his own package.
No,
it doesn't make sense to me.
No, you're absolutely right. And I was texting, loyal fan Mike Laws at the show, and me and him were on that interception that Flacco threw when Cager slipped. We were both texting each other like, "What the hell is Cager even doing out there?" We have Conklin and Uzama. Why is Cager
should only be on
the field?
And Cager hasn't had any reps with Joe Flacco. Cager's reps have always been with Chris Streveler. So I didn't but again, you see what I mean though? It's like that. It's like, look, I get that people have a brain fart once in a while, but LaFleur's having a little too many of them. And you want to pinpoint it back to last year when they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and they had that fucking game won. And all they had to do was just get out of their own way and just give it to Braxton Berrios. And they would have got a first down and they would have won the fucking game. But what do they do instead? They have Zach Wilson do a quarterback sneak. He doesn't fucking make it. Tom Brady comes on the field, marches down the field, and wins the game for the Buccaneers. Those are the types of lapses you can't have. Okay? You're trying to be cute. You're trying to be like, that's your arrogance getting the better of you. And that's the problem with Mike LaFleur. He doesn't call, the fact that you don't have a game plan to deal with this is bad. Okay? And I'm tired of hearing from Robert Saleh. I'm tired of hearing from the team telling me about how, we're much better than you think we are. It's not the same old Jet stuff and everything. The fact is that they haven't proven anything. They haven't they're going through the same motions, and we're going through the same shit over and over. It's, well, they can't catch. The fucking kicker missed another field goal. Whether it's Zerline, doesn't matter what it is, they missed another field goal. Braden Mann can't punt. You know, terrible penalties. Pass interference penalty on LaMarcus Joyner. Like, they're killing themselves here. And the crazy part is, you know, we were so concerned about Max Mitchell playing right tackle. He didn't really play that bad.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, the offensive line looked pretty good. It was just you could see Flacco's age in the pocket. Like, you could see he's an old man.
And that's the thing. I don't know what they're going to do now. Like, I couldn't tell you. I have no clue what they're going to do at this point. You know, honestly, I don't think they're going to be any better with Mike White. I just don't think it's going to be any different. You want Mike White going up against Jadeveon Clowney, and I don't really know what his mobility situation is, but you went with Flacco because he's the veteran, and that's that. But here's another problem having Clem. And again, it happens all the time with this team, and I'm fucking sick of it. I am tired of the fact that this team cannot relay simple information medically about a player to the media and to the fans. It's always this: we're gonna tiptoe around it. We're not gonna give them too much information. We're just gonna make them think that everything's okay, but in reality, it's not. Okay? And I'm sorry, but when you tell everybody on Monday of last week that there's a chance that Zach Wilson is going to play, what do you think the New York media is going to do about it? They're going to put it in the papers. It's going to be all over the articles for the beat writers. The fans are going to get excited thinking that Wilson's coming back. Any smart Jets fan knew he wasn't coming back because he hadn't practiced all summer. Okay? And I get that the gamesmanship with the Ravens and whatever. John Harbaugh is not falling for it anyway. Okay? So there's no fucking point in doing that. And then what happens? Saleh comes back on Wednesday, and guess what he says? He says, oh, Zach's not going to be back until week 4 at the earliest. Okay? How do you go from he might play Sunday, and then all of a sudden you go, well, he's not going to be back until week 4 against Pittsburgh. Key phrasing, the earliest he will be back. That means nothing. That means he could be out another 2 weeks on top of that. And that's what I mean. Simple information, they can't even relay that correctly. And then you wonder why they get ridiculed every day on all the sports shows, because they just do dumb shit. Okay? And I'm a big Joe Douglas fan, but he has become incredibly stubborn as a general manager. Okay? If you knew from the get-go that you were not going to draft Ike Ekwonu and you were going to take Sauce at 4, then you should have been prepared to sign another tackle to go on the offensive line. It's just getting to the point now where it's just tiresome. Like, it's tiresome. Okay? They have no life in them. They have no sense of urgency. They never fight back when they're down. LaFleur doesn't make any type of adjustments to the offense. Nothing. They just do the same shit over and over. And I get it. Breece Hall fumbled. You know, Ty Conklin fumbled, but it took them out of a first down. They had to kick a field goal instead. But my point is, Michael Carter drops a fucking touchdown. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just like you're just seeing the same shit over and over again. They drop passes. They can't punt. They can't kick. They're undisciplined. And I don't see that motivation from Saleh. I don't see it. Okay? I hear the shit all summer from Michael Carter and Ty Conklin and CJ Uzama and all these other guys telling us, yeah, it's going to be special. It's going to be great. You'll see and everything. And that first game, your fucking home opener on September 11th, mind you. Okay? Which is bad enough to schedule a football game, but okay. Okay? And this team offensively sucked. And they came out flat, and the fans got disinterested, and they walked out.
No, you're absolutely right. And like I said, like the offense, I can just see like the offensive line did okay. I mean, what are you going to do?
They did as best as you could have hoped for.
I say, yeah, you had George Fant go from right tackle to left tackle, so he wasn't really prepared to play left tackle. You had Max Mitchell, who probably wasn't ready to play right tackle. You know, and again, you could just tell that Flacco was old. He cannot run this offense. You know, it's terrible. I mean, the only good takeaways from the offense this week were Michael Carter looked good, and Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore looked decent for when they got the ball.
That's what I'm saying. Why isn't Garrett Wilson on the field more?
Yeah.
Why isn't Garrett Wilson on the field more?
He looked great.
On the
He looked
field,
great for what he did.
but I'm saying like he needs to be on the field. It's ridiculous. You drafted this kid number 10 overall. You didn't draft him number 10 overall to fucking sit on the bench. And again, it's just, and then, you have Saleh doing the same fucking sentences, same words every time. And I love Robert Saleh. I do. But it's like, I'm tired of this team being unprepared. You have weeks to prepare for Lamar Jackson. You should have been fucking preparing for Lamar Jackson in August. You should have been preparing for Lamar Jackson before your first fucking preseason game. And again, it's just, no sense of urgency, no huddle. They don't even do a hurry-up offense. Everything is just dragging. And you got Flacco making comments about the overall, like the way the guys were going out of the huddle. It was like they didn't give a shit. I mean, like, again, this is what I'm talking about. And after the game, we heard the same garbage. We heard it from Conklin. Now, this morning, I mean, if you want my honest opinion, I don't know if you saw the Saleh's press conference today, but the media's starting to get to him. It's starting to get to him, and I could see it. And I heard it. And I was watching Samini's tweets and Connor Hughes' tweets, because I don't know if you saw it, but basically Saleh came out today and said, he basically said in not too many words, I'm going to keep all the receipts for all of you, whoever doubted us, whoever said that we were bad and everything, and I'm going to bring them on the last day of the season. So he's basically put his balls on the table.
Oh, yeah.
He's put his balls on the table and basically said, this team's going to be better than you think. And when it does, I'm going to give a good old fuck you to the media.
I will say, what looked really good yesterday for the Jets? The front seven. The defensive line and the linebackers looked, I thought.
Yeah, Quan played really well. Sauce played well yesterday. DJ Reed played well. Jordan Whitehead played well. But again, you left yourself a gaping hole at the other safety spot. And you elected to keep guys like Ashton Davis and Tony Adams instead of keeping a guy like Jason Pinnock. Now, look, I'm not one to say that I'm not saying Jason Pinnock is going to be Troy Polamalu. But my point is you were hyping up Jason Pinnock all summer. And then you just magically cut him. So you either thought he was going to slip through waivers and no one was going to know the wiser, or he wasn't as good as you guys made him out to be.
Yeah.
But it's just, you just get tired, man. Like, you get tired. And it's frustrating. And again, I totally get it. Like, I've tried to be as optimistic as I possibly can be about the Jets. But the fact remains is we're right back to where we started. And there's just no sense of urgency. There's no desire. There's no, they don't even look fired up to play. And I thought that was why we got Robert Saleh. That's all I ever heard about Robert Saleh, especially coming off Adam Gase for 2 years. It was, he's a motivator. They got the right guy. He brings passion. He brings excitement. He brings intensity. I don't see it, Klim. Do you? Because I don't. He just stands there a lot of times.
I would say he has more energy than Bowles and Gase, but you don't see it. It's not much more. And again, like, that was the big thing. Like, he was a big personality when he was with San Francisco, and you're not really seeing that, unfortunately, here.
And again, we go back to the kicking competition. They deserve to get shit on for that too, because last year Eddie Pinheiro came in at the end of the year. He kicked really well. He kicked well. I don't understand why you don't just go into the year with him as the kicker. And instead you bring in Zerline. Zerline has a history of being a good kicker, but not over the last couple of years. And again, missed a 45-yard field goal, missed an extra point. I mean, come on. Braden Mann continues to be a terrible punter. And again, these are little things. And like, I was listening to, I know you don't subscribe to that on Patreon, but Joe Caporoso and Connor Rogers have an awesome podcast about the Jets. And they said the same thing. They're like, these are little things that can be fixed. Little things that Joe Douglas refused to fix. And Connor Rogers said it best. He goes, I just think he's very stubborn because he drafted Braden Mann and he doesn't want to let him go. Because then but it's, again, we're just seeing the same things. And I'm tired of seeing the Jets unprepared. I'm tired of it. Like, I understand we don't have Zach and we're out with Zach for 4 weeks, which is another thing. I could easily blame LaFleur and Saleh for getting Zach hurt. because you have to tell him to fucking slide. He should not be trying to be – he's trying to be a fucking hero during a preseason game, a game that doesn't count. And he's trying to be a hero, trying to make a highlight reel. But all he had to do was slide. If he slides, he's playing week 1 against the Ravens. I just don't know what to say anymore, man. Like, I don't. And, like, I can't devote the time to this team anymore. Like, I just can't. Because it's like I want to just see this team be successful. And they're not. And they just roll into a ball and they die. And they get a bullshit touchdown in the end. But that game was well out of reach. I mean, they play the Browns on Sunday, which is great because they have Jacoby Brissett. But it's like, who's to say that Jacoby Brissett won't throw 250 on them?
Yeah.
That's a game they should win. They should win that game on Sunday easily.
No, they should. And again, the only factor that's going to play into that game is can they stop Myles Garrett? And to what we saw from the Ravens defense, Myles Garrett might just eat up Joe Flacco, Mike White, whoever's playing quarterback for us on Sunday.
I mean, my guess it's going to be Flacco. I highly doubt it's not going to be anybody else. I don't see a situation where someone else starts for the Jets on Sunday. But it's just like something's got to give. Either these guys have to start playing hard or there's something very wrong with the coaching staff on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Because the defense played well, but the defense isn't going to pitch shutouts.
So I was very impressed with the defense yesterday. I was very impressed with Quan Alexander. He looked very good out there.
The offense just has to start sustaining drives. Like, they have to start going on these 12-play drives. And I don't want field goals. I want a fucking touchdown. I'm sick of field goals. I'm sick of putting it in the hands of my kicker, who lets me down more times than not. So, other news around the NFL. I guess the theme for the NFL this week was maybe teams should consider playing their first-string offenses more in the preseason, because you really saw a lot of teams struggle offensively yesterday. It wasn't easy. Dallas Cowboys were terrible on offense yesterday. So were the Green Bay Packers. So were the New England Patriots. I know Mac Jones got hurt yesterday. You know, the Raiders weren't really anything special. But I'm going to pivot to Dak Prescott. Again, you and we talked about it. I even think we had your friend on. That was a Cowboy fan we talked about it. To this day, I will say this once. I may have said this in the past. If I haven't, this is the first time you're hearing it. Jerry Jones is killing his own franchise. He just doesn't realize it. And I don't think he gives a shit. Okay? You gave Dak Prescott all that money. He has only been to the playoffs one time. Actually, let me phrase that twice. I think he won one, he lost one. He has never made it to a championship game. He has never made it to a Super Bowl. He's come up short plenty of tough games. He had a brutal ankle injury that he suffered in the Giant game when he broke his ankle. So now he's an injury-prone quarterback. You give him that kind of money. And then he goes out on Sunday and he has a stinker against Tampa Bay. And he gets hurt and now is out for 6 to 8 weeks. Which basically, unless the Cowboys do something, torpedoes their season for 2022. Mm-hmm. Because now, this is where Jerry Jones killed his own franchise. You know you have an injury-prone quarterback. You know you have a guy like Dak Prescott that, again, he gets hurt. Why am I hearing a horn?
Sorry, I'm on my phone, so it's like the notifications I'm getting on my my vibrator.
What, a fucking circus?
Hold on. Let me just put on. Do not disturb. Okay, perfect.
So now you have a situation where your franchise quarterback is out for 6 to 8 weeks, which pretty much kills your season. And Jerry Jones did not prepare to have a capable backup behind him. He basically just brings Cooper Rush back every year. Now, Dallas is not going to win with Cooper Rush. No. And you should know that. And he should know that. Not to mention, I mean, they lost a lot of guys this year. Ezekiel Elliott is not what he used to be. They traded Amari Cooper. They lost Cedric Wilson. Those are two key guys that they lost for their receiving corps. But he doesn't prepare for these things. doesn't prepare to have a capable backup. And the thing is, Dak, to me, I'm just not impressed. Everybody gets a hard-on for Dak when he throws for 375 yards and 3 touchdowns. But when he doesn't lead the Cowboys anywhere, whether by regular season or postseason, nobody talks about it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody says, Dak sucks, you got to get rid of him, or whatever. Another guy, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's a guy, $250 million extension he just got with the Arizona Cardinals. He's done nothing. He's done nothing, Klim. Absolutely nothing. And I'm tired of hearing about how good Kyler Murray is. Because honestly, I just don't see it.
I'm with you on that one.
To me, he's ordinary. He's average. But nobody says that. Nobody says they think he's a bust. Nobody says he's not that good. I'm saying it. The Arizona Cardinals are good enough to get to the postseason. They're good enough to go deep into the postseason. But I'm sorry, Kyler Murray just has too many weak-ass games. Yesterday was no exception. He didn't really play that great. And I granted the Cardinals got shredded by Pat Mahomes. But he doesn't match up. He doesn't come close to matching up with Pat Mahomes. In a dogfight between Pat Mahomes and Kyler Murray, Mahomes buried him. It wasn't even close, Klim. Murray didn't even throw for 200 yards yesterday.
No, you're absolutely right. Like you mentioned, Kyler Murray got this huge contract. I wouldn't even say he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now. There's no way. I can name you 10 better quarterbacks than Kyler Murray right now in the NFL.
I can't. I mean, everybody will disagree. Everybody will say, no, it's not that. I mean, because what happens 99 times out of 100 is people never crush the guys they really like. I'll give you a perfect example. Take Trey Lance, right? Trey Lance did not have a good game yesterday in his debut for the Niners. That is a game they should have won. They should not have lost to the Chicago Bears. I don't care what it is. Trey Lance is going to get a pass for yesterday. It's his first game, whatever. None of this. It's unacceptable that they lost. It's unacceptable that Trey Lance had a bad game. Kyle Shanahan should get ripped for starting Trey Lance if he wasn't ready to play and all that stuff, right? If you switch sides and put Zach Wilson in that equation, what are you hearing today? Zach Wilson's a bust. He sucks. They got to get rid of him. He's terrible and everything. The double standard in freaking sports it's disturbingly bad. Like it's insane how bad it is. So, Kyler Murray yesterday, 22 of 34, 193 yards and 2 touchdowns. 5 carries for 29 yards. I'm sorry, it's not the Arizona Cardinals. While they had 103 yards rushing, Kyler Murray was their leading rusher. Their leading receiver was Greg Dortch. I mean, meanwhile, Mahomes, 30 of 39 for 360, 5 touchdowns, no picks, 144.2 rate.
And that's without their best wide receiver.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. You're paying these guys crazy amounts of money. Crazy amounts of money. And that's the best they can do against the team they may wind up playing in the Super Bowl? No. I'm sorry, that's unacceptable. Yeah, we'll do Dak stats. We'll do Dak Prescott stats. I don't remember when he got hurt. I think he got hurt in the fourth quarter. Dak Prescott, 14 of 29, 134 yards, 1 pick. QB rating 15.3. That's fucking terrible, Klim.
Not good.
I mean, I'll give you another one. Another guy who signed like a major extension in the offseason, Derek Carr. Let's see Derek Carr yesterday. $22 of 37 for 295, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And again, it's overrated. You're going to keep giving these guys. You can't keep giving these guys over $200 million. They better get you to the damn Super Bowl. they better get you to the fucking Super Bowl. But that's the trend. That's what you're seeing now. You know, it was a very weird offensive day for a lot of teams. You know, Green Bay wasn't very good offensively. New England wasn't very good offensively. You know, just like we saw, I didn't think the Cardinals were that great offensively. The Niners were terrible offensively. I mean, but I don't know. I don't know what to say at this point.
It really is tough to say because, again, those teams that you just mentioned, they should have been better than what they showed out yesterday, and they absolutely weren't. Packers, prime example. Aaron Rodgers just won the fucking MVP. It comes out and plays like dog shit. Like, I get it. You lost Devontae Adams.
But Trey Lance, to pivot back to Trey Lance, he barely played in the preseason. Mm-hmm. He barely played. So how can you sit there and have all this confidence in him, right? To be the leader of your team when he doesn't even play with the first string offense during the preseason. How do you expect him to get better? Mm-hmm. Now, look, maybe we could be blowing this out of proportion because at the end of the day, look, the Jets played like shit. It's 1 game out of 17. Okay? Niners played like shit. It's 1 game out of 17. But it's just bad. And again, when you give a quarterback $250 million, you expect him to go and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Not to have a game where he throws for under 200 yards. And everything looks like it was dink and dunks because the leading receiver on the team had 63 yards receiving.
Yeah, and even if you say, like, not even beat the Kansas City, at least compete with them. They got blown out. They stunk.
So that's basically it for week 1. I mean, listen, there was a lot to like. You know, some teams definitely, you know, put their stamp on a lot of, you know, I think they're improving. They're playing hard for their coaches. You know, the Jets are still the Jets. The Giants definitely surprised a lot of people by winning yesterday. The Patriots looked terrible yesterday. Now, Mac Jones has a back injury, so you never know how that pans out because back injuries are very, very, you know, questionable. I don't know if he's going to miss time. They didn't really say yet. But, you know, and now again, with back to the Jets, you have Robert Saleh, who's starting to get a little testy with the media because he doesn't want to be picked on. You know?
Right.
The thing is, you promised, I'll leave it with this. When you came to your press conference, you promised all gas, no brake. That's all you kept saying. All gas, no brake. It's all over freaking MetLife Stadium. It's all over the backdrop when they do the press conferences. I don't see any gas. I see a lot of brake, but I don't see any gas for this team. So something's got to give here. So LaFleur better have a fucking better game plan than what he had on Sunday, because that was an absolute joke.
No, it absolutely was. Again, like you said, he has to have a better game plan. They have to come into this better, and the offense has to look better. The offense just flat out has to look better.
Just a couple of quick notes. As Klim mentioned at the bottom of the screen, Notre Dame is no longer in the top 25. They fucking deserve it as far as I'm concerned. Because, again, you can't – here's what I'm concerned about with Notre Dame. And this is why I don't know if this Marvin Freeman is going to be here for very long. 2 things. And one of them is going to sound really terrible, but it's factual. It's borderline factual. Number one, he's a coach that he's the only coach who's ever started his career 0-3 in Notre Dame. It's never happened before. That's the first black mark on his agenda, his thing. The other thing that concerns me about it, and I don't know how to say this without sounding insulting, and that is without making it sound insulting, but it's not how it's coming off. He's African American. And I'm sorry. If you're that coach who is going to be 0-3, you couldn't beat Marshall. Marshall, an unranked team, a team that went into your building and beat you, outplayed you basically. You should have won that game, especially coming off the way you played against Ohio State. Mm-hmm. You should have fucking destroyed that team.
Yeah, it's one thing to lose to Ohio State, arguably the best team in the country, you know, and you put up a good fight against Ohio State. All right, fine. But you go into Marshall and just get your doors blown off. Like, what is that? What is that?
And I'm telling you right now, the Monsignors at Notre Dame are not gonna like it. They're not. But here's the one thing, and Notre Dame fans, I'm a Notre Dame fan. I know Klim is a Notre Dame fan. I'm going to lay this right on the table, and this is going to be a tough pill to swallow, but you probably already know it already. They will never win a national championship. The reason why they will never win a national championship is they refuse to lower their standards. They refuse to lower their standards for academics. Okay? And I'm not saying that the key to winning a national championship is have a bunch of dumb kids on your roster. Far from it. But you could easily give those kids to play football at Notre Dame. They may not have the greatest grades in the world, okay? But if you really want to win the national championship, you need to lower your standards. You're going to need to lower your standards for academics just a little bit to get athletes to come there. Now, that'll piss off a lot of other people because they're going to say, well, my kid had a straight A average and some schmuck is going to go in on a football scholarship. Big whoop. Doesn't matter. It's the only way Notre Dame will ever win a national championship. Because all other schools, Ohio State, Alabama, they let their fucking football players do whatever they want. Nick Saban, all they care about is winning national championships. They're not graduating brain surgeons and chemistry, scientists and all that stuff. They're not. Nobody goes to Alabama School of Law. Nobody goes to Ohio State School of Law. Okay? They get by on the bare minimum. That's why they succeed. That's why they're always in a national championship picture. Because Nick Saban is a god at that school. Dabo Swinney is a god at Clemson. Ryan Day is a god at Ohio State. And they know it, and that's what their bread and butter is, and they know that, so they're going to always give those football players a pass. And I understand Notre Dame is a Catholic school, preaches academics, but I'm telling you right now, until they dummy down their standards a bit more when it comes to academics, lower their expectations, lower their academic, what it takes to get into school academically, they will never, ever win a national championship. Because even the best Notre Dame teams that have gone to the national championship, that have gone to the CFP, have gotten destroyed in the first round. Last year, who did they play last year? They played Alabama. They got destroyed by Alabama. 2 years before that, it was Clemson. They got destroyed by Clemson. National championship game against Alabama was over in the first quarter. Notre Dame they have to lower their standards academically. It's the only way you're going to be able to put a competitive football team on the field.
You're absolutely right. I get it. It's tradition. It's this. It's that. It's whatever. I get it. But like you just said, you said it perfectly. Notre Dame's never going to win a national championship, and it sucks because they have decent players. You just get those 5-star recruits, which they never fucking get. You get those 5-star recruits that will put you over the edge. Then you can win a national championship. I think the last 5-star recruit that Notre Dame recruited was Manti Te'o. Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, again, we're just going through the bullshit. It's just over and over again, and it's getting it. And again, this is why I set my expectations low for Notre Dame. And again, you just got your ass kicked by Marshall. You don't think Marvin Freeman may not make it to the next game if he loses, because they're not going to tolerate it. They're not going to tolerate it. They're very strict in this regard.
His career at Notre Dame might be over sooner than later.
And I'm not saying it was a bad hire. It was a great hire. Okay? But at the end of the day, he's lost his first 3 games as head coach, which has never happened in Notre Dame. Or if it hasn't happened in like 50 years. So, Mets are back in first place after taking 2 or 3 from the Marlins. The Braves lost 2 out of 3. By the way, the end of that Braves-Mariners game was freaking insane.
I know.
It was such an amazing ending to the game. And I'm not saying that because the Braves lost. I'm just saying it because it was just an unbelievable ending to a baseball game.
It was a really fucking good game.
The Braves are going to be a very deadly team. And the thing is that the Mets, I don't really nitpick about the Mets too much. I get annoyed. I don't like the fact that they got outscored 22-6 to the Nationals and Pirates and they lost 3 in a row, because those are games you should win easily. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, they bounced back and they got 2 out of 3 from the Marlins, and they won. They swept the doubleheader against the Pirates. The Braves just keep going on these 8-game winning streaks, and that's why we're pretty much at where we're at.
That's what I'm saying. The Mets aren't playing bad baseball. I mean, yeah, granted, you can't lose to the Pirates and the Nationals and the Marlins, but the Braves just don't stop winning. It's insane.
But again, I think the Mets missed an opportunity to go after a solid player. I know they brought in Vogel back. I know they brought in Darren Ruff. I know they brought in Tyler Naquin. For the most part, those guys have done their job. Okay. Michael Givens has actually been a pretty decent reliever for the Mets this year since they got him. He's had a couple of bad games, but he's also had some really good ones. Where I think they messed up was they did not get a better lefty reliever because Joely Rodriguez sucks.
Terrible.
And on top of that, I think they should have gotten a better player for the lineup, like a Wilson Contreras. Somebody like that. I don't care. I mean, I wouldn't have traded Francisco Alvarez. I probably wouldn't have traded Brett Beatty, but I would have probably traded Mark Vientos to get him.
Yeah.
So, but what's done is done. I haven't needed to kill Billy Epler this year because I think he's done an incredible job with the Mets. And the other thing too is that the Mets just, the Braves have no injuries and the Mets are fucking getting injured every week. Scherzer's on the IL. Starling Marte's on the IL. It's just like we can't catch a fucking break, man. Like we can't catch a break. It's like as soon as we get one guy back, then Scherzer goes out. Then Marte goes out. It's like it's ridiculous. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. Like that's all I can really tell you.
I would say it's insane the amount of bad luck the Mets have. Because like you said, if it's 1 week, it's like okay, good. We get DeGrom and Scherzer back for a few weeks. Oh, Scherzer goes on the IL. Great. Starlin Marte's playing fantastic baseball. He goes on the IL. It's always one thing after another with the Mets.
And last but not least, we'll pivot back to wrestling. We really want to talk. We didn't talk about it with VSK because, I wasn't sure if he was able to talk about it. But the whole thing with AEW right now is a mess.
Oh my God, I know.
I mean, did you see the Punk press conference?
I didn't see it, no, but I read about it.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, watch it.
Okay.
Because the one thing that's really sad about that press conference is the fact that Tony Khan just sits there. He just sits there and lets Punk rip into the Young Bucks and Omega and Colt Cabana. And he just sits there and his eyes are like bugging out, right? And he just sits there and he doesn't say a fucking word. He lets Punk basically, and this is what Punk is, like Punk is, he from whatever, the altercations on stuff, from what I'm reading, he's an asshole. That's just who he is. I guess he's entitled to be an asshole, but the fact is that Tony Khan just sat there and he looked like a guy who was ogling CM Punk. Like, yeah, I signed him. And he just goes, yeah, do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. Which led to an altercation backstage between Punk, the Young Bucks, and Omega because he called them out. He basically said they were shitty EVPs. And, that's what he said in not too many words. He said, when you hire people who are not EVPs, then this is what you're going to get. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was something along those lines, which led to an altercation in the back where the Young Bucks basically got their ass kicked by Punk and Ace Steel. And then Omega was like, I think Omega got involved in some way, shape, or form. This is bad, man. And when a federation like AEW has to have 2 straight weeks of talent meetings to go, just to like rah the troops kind of thing, that's fucking bad, bro.
Well, Craig, you said it since the beginning of AEW that you can't let it get like WCW because that was the problem, and you're starting to see it slowly, week by week, turn into WCW, and it's like this company is gonna fail sooner rather than later. Like it's just nonstop all this shit. Like, good, you got MJF back, awesome, great to see him back on.
What did you have to do to get him back?
Exactly.
See, because your fucking program was falling apart. And to be honest, the matches were great. Don't get me wrong, but if I'm going to freaking AEW Dynamite, I want to see Punk. I want to see MJF. And I know you got some injuries. Adam Cole's still hurt and everything. Kyle O'Reilly hasn't been back and everything. But now there's a bigger problem, and that is the guys you brought in from the WWE are not happy. Malachi Black got his release, so he's taking a mental leave from wrestling, probably because he's in another situation where he was just buried. House of Black was a great faction, but they did nothing with him. They didn't compete for the tag team titles. Malachi Black didn't compete for a belt. He didn't compete for anything. Miro is unhappy in AEW. Andrade is unhappy in AEW. They're all fucking unhappy now. They've completely buried Bryan Danielson.
Look, Craig, I will say you were absolutely right about this from the beginning.
Too much talent, and the thing is, making it worse, Khan is letting the inmates run the asylum, and that's the big problem. When you let CM Punk go out there and he just says whatever he wants and has this fuck you look to Tony Khan, that is terrible. Like, that's a terrible optic. I don't give a shit how good your matches are in AEW. You can't let a guy run over the executives like that. You just can't. That is a terrible look for Tony Khan. And he should know better.
No, it absolutely is. Like, you can't, Craig, I'll say it again. You said it from the beginning. You can't have the inmates run the asylum. You can't bring on all this WWE contract on these contracts because it's gonna, like I just said before, it's gonna turn into WCW, which it is exactly unfolding before our eyes. Like, this, it's become okay. Good, you got AEW. It's top now because WWE sucks so bad, and now with Triple H at the helm of WWE. WWE is going to smoke AEW in the ratings.
Well, I hope so, but the problem with WWE right now is I still don't like things that they're doing. I don't like the fact that they have to start changing it up a little bit. I don't love the idea of having Roman Reigns be champion through Mania. I think that's a terrible decision by WWE. And I mean, you're not going to tell me otherwise. You're going to have this guy have the belt for another 6 months. He never wrestles on WWE. He never wrestles. He only wrestles on pay-per-views. To me, it's just not interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not interesting. Okay? You had NXT when Worlds Collide. You did literally no title changes. You hardly did any title changes. Mandy Rose is still the women's champion for some ungodly reason. Carmelo Hayes is still the North American champion for some reason. Pretty Deadly have the fucking tag titles again because that's, and then Braun Breaker is still the world champion. There has to be some kind of change. Like, that's what's going to open up more feuds. Like, that's what's going to open up more feuds in NXT. That's what's going to open up more feuds in WWE. Like, I think they should have given the title to Blair Davenport and had her just run with it.
Well, I thought that was the whole point of having her in the match. It's like, oh yeah, you have the champion versus champion, and then Blair Davenport. Like, I thought that's what the whole point of having her in the match was, that she's going to win it.
But it's like, Tyler Bate, if Braun Breaker's coming up to the main roster, then just take him up to the main roster already.
Yeah.
There's nothing for him in WWE. Unless he's going to lose the belt to, well, I still think he should be Jordan Devlin. I hate the name JD McDonough. But it's just, again, they just do things that are weird. And then on top of that, it's like Clash at the Castle, you put Imperium back together, which is great. But it should be Walter, Marcel Bartel, and Fabian Eichner. Done. Did you see the video that the Pisanos put up on their social media? And they're watching Clash at the Castle?
They're not.
And Ludwig Kaiser is doing the intro at Clash at the Castle. And he goes, come on, say it. And it's Andrew. I think it's Andrew and Eric. And they're like, come on, say it. And like Ludwig Kaiser's doing his intro and like they're all fired up. And he goes, just fucking say it. And he goes, good third. And he goes, fuck. It's so funny. Like, it is so funny. Right? So it's like there's little things coming back for WWE. And the fact that they're able to bring Gargano back, Braun Strowman is back. There's rumors now that Bray Wyatt may be back soon. There's a lot of rumors going around about Bray Wyatt. They gave, now Tommaso Ciampa has his full name. Austin Theory has his full name. These are like little changes that are fine. But I understand AEW. And the other thing, too, is, and I didn't see All Out, but you don't need to have 15 matches on a goddamn pay-per-view.
Oh, my God.
I don't understand what Tony Khan is smoking. Like, I really don't. 15 matches on a pay-per-view. And I hated the way they did the Casino Battle Royal. I know it was a way to bring MJF back. But it's like, I hated that so much. Because he didn't need that.
No, he didn't.
All those guys were fucking killing each other in that match. And then you have a whole bunch of guys come out in black masks and black, uniforms and beat the crap out of everybody so he can get the. It was so stupid. It was so stupid. And now CM Punk has a torn pec, so he's going to be out, which means he's probably have to give up the belt. And I don't know if you saw the other day, Cody Rhodes put a tweet out that said, "And people wonder why I left." But Tony Khan is a huge mess on his hands right now in AEW. It's not good.
It's certainly not good. And he's got a, I don't know. I don't even know what he could do to fix it right now.
And these are the types of things that it'll get worse before it gets better.
Yep.
And again, you're burying guys. You bury a guy like Bryan Danielson, who's one of the best wrestlers that you have. And he's like a third member of Blackpool Combat Club. He's jobbing to Daniel Garcia, for God's sakes. I don't know, man. I just don't get it. I hated the way they did the Jungle Boy thing. I couldn't stand that.
It's just not good.
I guess I'm just really critical. I don't know, but that's just me. Anywho, before we get out of here, you got anything else?
That is it for me. Honestly.
All right. Show next week, or?
I'm down.
All right.
I'm ready to go.
All right.
Actually, no, not next week. I lied. I can't do next week.
Yeah. So
2 weeks.
I guess you're down in 2 weeks. You're really
I'm down 2 weeks, and I'll try and book a guest for that time.
Okay. All right. So on that note, that'll do it for the Moffett on the Mic show for this Monday night. A very special thank you to VSK for coming on our show. We really appreciate, him taking the time out of our day. We appreciate him supporting us. And, Klim and I have really established what we feel is a decent relationship with the Creative Pro Wrestlers. We love having them on the show. We love hearing their stories about how they got into the business, matches, tough matches they had, all that stuff. It's really awesome. Be on the lookout because we are reaching out to other
wrestlers.
Yes. Just lost my complete train of thought. Other wrestlers on the cap roster, making. Hopefully, we can get them on for their first time on the show because we love hearing all this stuff. But again, VSK, we really appreciate him. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I believe there are still some available. Saturday night, Melville at All Sports. He's going to be in a 6-man tag with Eric James and Dante Drago against Bully Ray, Phil Cardigan, and Dr. Cool. So again, on behalf of Klim, this is Craig. This is the Moffett on the Mic show. Wherever you are, stay safe. Have a great rest of your 2 weeks. And we will be back Monday, the 26th of September. Klim, don't pass out. It's only around the corner. It's okay. We'll be back in 2 weeks on September 26th, right here, 8 o'clock. Hopefully, we'll have a guest on. If not, I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about, as that will be the final week of baseball season heading in. And then the playoff race should get really, really interesting in that last week. Wherever you are, stay safe. Have a great rest of your 2 weeks. And we'll be back September 26th right here on the A1 Sports Network. Have a great one, everybody.